As I told you in a previous topic that solutions are also considered as mixture. That means it is formed when solute and solvent are mixed in any proportion and they are not chemically combined. So this is how we get solutions, right? So you'll be curious to know that we can also separate the solute and solvent from the solution. That means the components of solution can be separated easily. But before we do that, I want that you should be familiar with, we should recall all those things which we have done. That means the type of solutions basically which we come across. So there are different types of solutions that we come across, that is the solid-solid, the solid-liquid and the liquid-liquid. The liquid-liquid we can take the miscible ones. The miscible ones are those liquids which actually dissolve in each other, and the immiscible liquid solution is that in which the two liquids do not get dissolved in each other, right? So we have the different techniques which we can use to separate that solute and solvent. Like we can use a suitable solvent, like we'll be doing it in the later one, that we can use a solvent in which we'll be dissolving the components, and one will be soluble and the other won't be soluble. So there are the different processes, different principles involved in these separations that we'll be taking up later. But before that we start, I want that you should be familiar with the terms involved. So that is the use of suitable solvent, filtration, crystallization, evaporation, distillation, fractional distillation and paper chromatography. So these are the basic techniques which can be used to separate the solute and the solvent from the solution, that is the component. So before we do that, you should be familiar with the terms, that what do we mean by the mixture and what do we mean by the pure substance. Mixtures and pure substance are two different things, right? Pure substance actually contain only one kind of substance. I'm repeating, a pure substance contain only one kind of substance and it is not mixed with any other substance. But when we talk about the mixture, as we know, solution is an example of mixture. So it contain more than two types of components. So that means a pure substance is totally different from the mixture, right? So I want you to tell me that I'm giving you certain options and I want you to tell me that on the basis of the definitions, that whether the given substance is a pure substance or it is a mixture, right? So the first question from my side to you is that the clean tap water. So the clean tap water which you get is a mixture or a pure substance. What do you think? So the second question is the 100% orange juice. What do you think? That is it a mixture or a pure substance? And the third one we have is distilled water. So similarly the same question is applicable to distilled water, that whether it is considered as pure substance or a mixture. Do you have any guess? So I am taking these terms separately so that you should know that the first term I am taking is clean tap water. So the tap water which we get from the tap, do you think is a pure substance? That means it is consists of only one kind of substance, or do you think that it contains more than one kind of substance? So I may tell you that the clean tap water is regarded as a mixture because it is not pure water. Along with the water, it contains many ions dissolved in it. So that means it contains more than one kind of substance, and the substance which contain more than one kind of substance is regarded as a mixture. So clean tap water is a mixture. Second one we have is the orange juice. Similarly, the orange juice is also a mixture because it also contains the one kind of substance, the flavoring agent and many more things, right? Third is the distilled water. The distilled water which we get is a pure substance because it is free from all those ions. It contains only pure water. So any substance which consists of one kind of substance is regarded as a pure substance, and we don't need any technique to separate it because it is formed of only one substance. But we need a technique to separate the mixtures as they contain more than one kind of substance. So we can just separate those substances, and we can separate that mixture into its components. So this is how we are going to do in the next topic, and you should be, so before we do that, I wanted that you should be familiar with the terms, that why the purification is done and in which case you can do a purification and which case you can't do a purification, right? So we have different this thing, the terms which are used in the purification. That is, we'll be taking these terms because when I'll be making you understand these terms, and then I'll be using directly the terms, so you should know actually what does they mean, right? So the first is solute. You know that solute is present in a small quantity and that gets dissolved. Second, we have the solvent. What is solvent? It is a liquid which actually has the ability to dissolve the solute in it. I told you an example in the previous topic also, like I was dissolving the sugar in the water. So water has the ability to dissolve sugar. So water is regarded as a solvent, and the sugar which has the ability to get dissolved is regarded as a solute. And moreover, this sugar is present in a small quantity, and we know that any substance which is present in a small quantity is solute, and in excess quantity is regarded as a solvent. So this is how we use these terms solute and solvent, and when we'll be taking different mixtures, we'll be talking by using the terms the solute and the solvent. So likewise, you should be familiar that how to use these terms and what does they actually mean. Third is solution. We know the basic components of solution is again the solute and solvent. When you mix solute and solvent, we get the solution. Similarly, what is the residue? See, residue is that substance, that insoluble substance which stays behind. Like for example, we'll be taking up in the live examples as well, but I want you should be familiar with this term as well. So for example, I'm taking an example to make you understand. Suppose I'm dissolving sand in water and then I'm just filtrating the mixture. Then what is going to happen? The sand is going to remain, or it is going to get trapped in the pores of the filter paper. So that means sand is a residue. It is the insoluble solid that gets actually trapped or that stays behind. So that is regarded as a residue. I think you got it now. The next is the filtrate. So the same example I am using, sand solution which contain water and sand, when it is passed through the filter paper, what happens? The sand gets stick to the pores of the filter paper and the water just passes through that filter paper into the another beaker. So the water that is obtained is called as filtrate. Similarly, sublimate. When we talk about sublimate, the change of state that strikes our mind is sublimation. And you know that sublimation is direct conversion of solid into gaseous state on heating, and when we cool that gaseous state, we get again the solid substance. So that means on heating, solid gets directly converted into gaseous state, and on cooling, the gaseous state again convert back into the solid state. So the sublimate is that condensed forms. Again I'm repeating, suppose we have this example that is striking in my mind is the naphthalene ball, right? So I'm taking a naphthalene ball. It shows the property of sublimation. That means it gets directly converted from when I heat it or at room temperature, it gets converted from solid form to the gaseous form, right? So the form which is obtained by heating the solid into the gaseous one, the gaseous one is called, the gaseous state which is obtained by heating the solid is called as sublime, right? And what is going to happen when I am going to cool that gaseous state, it will again form the solid state. So that is called as sublimate. I'll write an example for you to make you understand. So for example, I've taken example of you say again naphthalene. Naphthalene is in solid form, right? It is going to get converted into the vapor form, which is the gaseous form. How it is going to get converted? When we heat it, right? So this vapor form indicate the state sublime, right? And when I cool these vapors, they get again converted into naphthalene. So this solid form which is obtained by condensing the vapors is called as sublimate, and the whole process is called as sublimation, right? So this is that means the sublimation consists of two components, the sublime and the sublimate. So this is how the terms which we are going to use in the next purification that we'll be taking up.